Hey everyone, we're back. So the topic is landscape photography and how Roberto got into that and became self-taught. So there are two challenges. First, you have to develop your own style, and the second one is, of course, learning the techniques. Anyone can learn the techniques, but it's much harder to develop your own style and become unique and not imitate other people. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was just briefing everyone on what we were talking about and how you were talking about the two challenges, which is one, developing your own style, and the second one is being great at technical stuff. So I wanted to talk more about the style aspect. So how did you personally develop your own style and become develop your own unique style that's different from others?
Mm. Yeah. I, I think that I started focusing on what I like most, which is sunsets, right? Or photography, sunset photography, or photography at the golden hour, which is very close to sunset or to sunrise. Or after, just before sunset and just after sunrise. It's the best light for landscape photography. So because I started shooting at those specific times mostly, I guess that's where my style came from. Because you get the color, the colors. That's why it's called golden hour, because
Yeah.
they're more golden, but more the shadows are longer shadows because the sun is coming up or setting. Uh, and and, uh, and I guess that's where my style comes from. It's a combination of factors. It's what I like, but also technically it has to do with the light, right? And the time of day. Yeah.
So that's great. So someone's also asking, how were you able to create your own technique and brand from Moon TDJ7?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that question. My technique, again, it's practice. I'd say the more you practice, the better you become at shooting what you are seeing, or at least as close as possible as what you are actually seeing out there. Um, I think practice is the one thing, and practice also makes you start shooting almost naturally. Uh, and you stop thinking about the process or the technicalities. So practice has to be the one thing, and again the other aspect is trying to find a specific niche or time or subject that you wanna shoot, and focus on becoming good at that
Nice.
extent.
We have another question here. Someone's wondering, and this is something that I also wonder myself. I mean, it really depends on each person, but how many photos do you personally take before you turn out with the perfect shot? Since you're doing really specific things like sunsets, sunrises, and you know your subject, then how many do you usually have to take before being satisfied?
Mm. Yeah. To come up with the one photo that's going up on my social media or my website, yeah, it takes maybe between I'd say 30 to 40 photos.
So I also wanted to ask about kind of how do you market your work or promote your work?
Mhm. Yeah, as part of the process, there's certainly many aspects to photography and becoming a photographer, and one of them is being seen, right? Being able to be seen, uh, and the only way to do that is market yourself. So I branded I created my brand, which is Roberto Destarac Photography. Uh, Worked based on one of my photos. I had a friend of mine who is a very good friend of mine who is a designer, put together or work on my logo. So with that in place, I started working on my website, social media, of course. Instagram is huge for me, at least. And all the social networks or social media. I've also hired at some point in my career, I hired an agency also to help me with promotion, and then just putting your work out there,
Yeah.
being seen by as many pages, contests. They work, but in a way, but it's good to be out there. So I'd say that's the way I market myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all very important. It's such an important question that, you know, a lot of photographers are wondering now, especially if you know, people are just on Instagram, they're wondering how can they create a brand for themselves, create a website, you know, market their work outside of Instagram, and you know, and get an audience to see their content. So I feel like this is, you know, great for anyone starting out. And the last thing I wanted to ask is, do you have any tips around landscape photography or photography in general that you would like to, you know, let people that are hobbyists maybe, or just starting out, know that you wish you didn't, things you might have done quicker, or you wish you didn't do?
Yeah, I actually made a little list.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Through it rather quickly. The very first tip I would give landscape photographers, especially, is to be safe. Stay safe. Always stay safe. You know, we all get carried away because we're so into the photo or into the landscape that we wander around maybe dangerous places, out in the open or out in the. I've seen stories and I've heard stories of photographers falling off cliffs or even buildings, you know, taking a snapshot or something. Yeah, sorry, a selfie or something. So be safe. That's the very first tip I would give. And to do that, you have to be conscious of your surroundings, the location you're going to shoot, especially if you're in a foreign country. Never wander around. I mean, out if you're hiking. You know, if you're going to take a hike to go to shoot I don't know, a lake or something. Never do it alone. Try to bring someone with you, especially better if it's a local person. Always bring water. Always bring something to eat, because you may get lost, right? Or you may end up with a very long day. Flashlight, bring a flashlight. So those are the weather. Also look for the weather.
Bring a friend. And
again?
Bring a friend and things to survive.
Things to survive, and do check for the weather, because if it's gonna be very cold or too warm, and everything, you have to prepare for that. Then on the technical side, as part of the gear, one thing that a mistake I think some landscape photographers, and I did it myself, is you want to bring as much as possible with you, right? But it turns out to be too heavy at the end of the day after 12 hours of being outside. So bring maybe less is more. Bring just enough lenses. Don't bring all of them. You don't need all of them. You only need one or two. Get yourself a good tripod, but light one, sturdy, light tripod. For there are tripods for travel photography or landscape photography. So don't bring too much, but don't forget your memory card or batteries. It happened to me. It's happened to me. I mean, and then you're all the way out there. I mean, you traveled and you don't have the memory card, or your battery is drained.
Yeah, that's the worst. You don't want that.
Yeah, the worst. Yeah. And also, if possible, do bring or try to bring I call it a secondary camera. I mean, it doesn't have to be like your top model, but if you can afford or if you can bring a smaller camera, because your camera may break on, or you might drop it or something, and then you're stuck out all the way up there. Cell phones do the job at times, right? But if you can just, I would suggest bringing an extra camera, and then just really quickly on the technical side, watch out for your horizon has to be straight, and things like that. Very basic, but people do make those mistakes at times. Yeah.
Okay, amazing tips, and I feel very specific to landscape, and things that I wouldn't even think about, because I wouldn't be out for 12 hours trying to take pictures of something. So thank you so much, Roberto, for joining us.
Oh, I just want to add one last tip, and I really had it, and I have it.
Tell us.
Just the last one. Look behind you. Always look behind you. Not for safety. I talked about safety already, but sometimes you're shooting the sunset and you're so focused on the sun setting, on the ocean or whatever. But if you turn around and you see how it's looking behind you, the scenery behind you, that's a very. I've taken very beautiful pictures by just turning around and looking what's happening behind. The scene maybe, the houses you're looking at may changing color or something. It's worth it. Just turn around and you can find a great picture right behind you as well.
Yeah, that's part of being mindful too of your surroundings, not just like straight vision. Yeah, I find myself doing that a lot. Sometimes you're just so focused on the one thing, but then you forget all the beauty around you. That's an amazing tip. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Roberto, and for all this amazing advice and feedback. Our audience, I'm sure, really appreciates it. We have so many great landscape photographers, and have a great week, and hope to have you back soon.